Hello, everybody. Great to see you. This is going to be awkward because we're going to have some slides with lots of data for you guys. So I'm going to think this is much better than sitting here. I run our global luxury sales. So in addition to working with yacht companies, I work with aviation, real estate, couture, jewelry, hospitality, and auto brands, like many in this room. And what we do, no one else in the world does. We have the most powerful global data set of the ultra-high net worth. We have hundreds of researchers who go out and find this data on individuals so that yacht brokers, shipbuilders, and every other company working with the ultra-wealthy know how to talk to them, who they are, and where they are. So we do have some fun statistics to share today. We're going to really talk mostly about the ultra-wealthy, which we categorize as $30 million US dollars and greater. We do also have tremendous research on that very high net worth sector, from the 5 million to 30 million. But a lot of these insights today are going to be more on that ultra-wealthy group. Why it matters? Because every time you engage with somebody, when we were talking yesterday, the Alex Clark session, first day, knowing who these people are and creating relationships, knowing what their passions are, beyond yachting, where they are, where they own homes, is going to create stronger relationships for you. So it's going to make you even stronger in your field, beyond the yacht sector, on knowing what else you can find out about them. The opportunities are global. We're going to talk about where they are today, and a lot about where they're going and what's shifting. And that's kind of the kind of fun content that's coming in a little bit. That's the unprecedented demographics. We're going to see changes that have not come up before. So right now, this is the wealth by tier. We're talking about that 500,000 who are worth more than $30 million. First fun fact is, in the next 4 years, that's growing by 30%. It's going to be close to 700,000. I think we've estimated 676,000. That's never happened before. And that is a product of the wealth transfer and of a lot of robust equity markets. But that is a significant change in that ultra-wealthy group. It's even more interesting when we start talking about some of the demographic shifts that are happening. So we have an increase in the pool of ultra-wealthy, but then how old they are is going to really disrupt almost every industry out there. I work, like I said, with a lot of the different sectors within luxury, and we talk a lot about what they spend and where they spend it, because again, it matters. You want to know what else they want to do, what else their passions and hobbies are. $290 billion in luxury spend a year with this very small group of individuals. It's our little ta-da is hidden by the chairs, but 10 billion is what we can track that goes just to the yachting industry. So that will shift going forward. It could stay 10 billion. It could grow exponentially with the shift that we see coming on. This is only part of it. Again, they're very philanthropic, so a lot of their spend actually goes to that nonprofit world. But understanding what that pool of available spend is really, really important, and what we work with clients doing. This is one of my favorite slides ever, because Maeen and I do a lot on analytics. We want to know what else we can correlate these luxury assets to. So obviously yachts and planes go together. And I work with several refitters who say, all we do is look for people who have a yacht or a plane, because they're going to redo it every 3 years. There's always that tendency, which I'm sure you're more aware of than I, thank you, on what that impulse to update and increase is. But the idea that we can track somebody who owns an art collection has 113 times higher propensity to also have a wine collection is huge. And literally being able to use data to create smaller sectors and understand more about these very niche groups of people. I mean, we're talking about sometimes a segment of one, but that one can change your entire business, and that's what data can do. Okay, now I get to give this to Maeen, who's got some of the fun stuff that I wanted to present, but he won, so.
Thank you, Moira. Hello, everyone. Great 2 days so far in Istanbul. Have you been enjoying the Superyacht Summit? I still have 2 more days in Istanbul. You can never have too many Adana kebab, so I look forward to that. I'm going to be talking today about the ultra-wealthy, specifically. I'll present some insights from 3 of our key reports. These are reports that we publish annually. We have been publishing these reports since 2011, the Billionaire Census. And they're really interesting for this industry. I mean, I hope you're going to see some exciting insights. The reports are the ultra-wealthy report, focuses on people with 30 million plus in net worth, what Moira was talking about 500,000 people globally. The other one is the wealth transfer report. This is a report that focuses on gauging how much wealth is going to be transferred across generations in a decade, and obviously focused on the wealthy. We don't just focus on the ultra-wealthy, we look at the ultra-wealthy, the very high net worth, those with 5 million or more, and also the billionaires. And the last report is the Billionaire Census, 3,500 people, super exclusive club that we have data on.
I pressed the wrong
I pressed
button.
the only wrong button they told me not to press. I'm sorry about that. So this is the global map of the ultra-wealthy. 500,000 globally and growing. I think we're expecting them to rise by 30% in the next 4 to 5 years. What we have noticed about this group is that they actually almost always outperform the overall market. If the GDP grows by 5%, you can expect them to grow by 12%. If the GDP grows by 10%, they might make 25%. I mean, I think for obvious reasons, they do control a lot of the production and sort of assets that generate income and wealth. So that's not a big surprise. In terms of proportions, North America, by far, comes first. 40% of this population is concentrated in North America, with about 25% in each of Asia and Europe. These proportions change quite a bit. When I first joined WealthX, Altrata now, Asia had about 17% of a proportion, and it went up all the way to 29%, and now it's regressing to 25%. It's a very, very dynamic population that changes with opportunities and changes when new technology comes in. You know, within 2 years, these proportions can be different. So it's important to keep that in mind. It's important to know that this is an always evolving class of people that you need to stay close to. You can't just say, all right, now I know them, I'll see you later. It doesn't work like that. And in our reports, we usually kind of focus on the biggest cities in the world. But that's kind of boring, right? You're going to see New York, and you're going to see Hong Kong, and you see London and Paris. And in this particular report, we decided to look at the fastest growing cities in the world in terms of the ultra-wealthy population, and some US states. This is very specific to the US market. In all honesty, some US states are bigger than entire countries, and that's not a big surprise looking at the size of the American GDP. But from a quick, fastest growing perspective until 2030, you can see in this list that a lot of these cities are in Asia. Most of them are in India and in China, reflecting the dynamic and double-digit growth rates that you see in these economies that we expect to continue. We only forecast until 2030 because things get messy very quickly beyond the 5-year forecast. We have a couple of cities from Europe, from Norway specifically. The reason they made it to the list is because Norway has a very small population to start with. So if you add 5 people, it's already a big chunk of percentage. All right, so this slide is from our from our great wealth transfer, or the wealth transfer report. As I said, this is where we kind of gauge how much wealth is going to be exchanging hands in the next 5 to 10 years by the wealthy. In this slide, I'm presenting the wealth that will be transferred from those who have 5 million plus. It's not the 30 million plus, it's the 5 million plus group. That group, we think there are about 5 million of them, 4 to 5 million of them around the world. Imagine this, 18 trillion is going to be exchanging hands in 5 to 10 years. Every year, a portion of this 18 trillion is moving to the next generation. 18 trillion is the size of the Chinese GDP. It's a massive amount of money. What that means is in 10 years, new owners of 18 trillion will come to the market. They have different profiles, they have different interests, they have different backgrounds, and we need to keep close to them to understand how that impacts everything they do, everything they decide to do. 18 trillion is massive. We're presenting also some proportions of where this wealth is going to, where this transfer is going to be taking place. The majority is in places like North America, not a big surprise, that's where most of the wealth is concentrated anyway. What is interesting here, if you do some number crunching, you'll realize that I just presented that Asia has about 25% of the wealthy population, but the wealth that will be transferred in Asia is a lot less than that. And this is because wealth in Asia is kind of new. A lot of people are newly wealthy, self-made, younger, so they'll need more time for that wealth to be moving to the next generation. Another thing to keep in mind, all these insights are quite impactful when you're designing a strategy on how to approach the next generation, how big is that opportunity, and what that means for you in the business. This is my favorite slide, as Moira has one. We spent a lot of time, me and my team, actually working on this graph. This is us forecasting the generational proportions of the ultra-wealthy and how that's going to change. What we're saying here, if you look at the first sort of line of data here, we're saying that in 2025, 44%, I'm sorry, you guys can't see the generations, they're down there. 44% of the ultra-wealthy are baby boomers, 22% are silent generation, 25% are Generation X, and only 8% are what we call next gen. Next gen is millennials and Gen Z. We have Generation Alpha down there. They're still they have a long way to go. I think the oldest Generation Alpha individual is 12 years old today, so they have time. And what we're doing here is studying their age profiles, studying the average age of the wealthy today, and the market dynamics by country. We forecast how these proportions are going to change in the next 15 years. And as you can see, if I look at the older generations, baby boomers and silent generation today, they make up 67% to 70% of the ultra-wealthy today. In 15 years, that 70% is dropping to 20%. That is a massive drop. That means 50% of the entire ultra-wealthy population will be different in 15 years only, in 5 to 15 years. I mean, if that does not have an impact on your strategy, then you should really be worried. And not just from a yacht perspective. I think this is applicable to the entire luxury space.
So, Maeen, at the same time with that drop, this Gen X group is changing by 50% in 5 years. So that is what's keeping brands up at night.
Gen X is one of those generations that we always kind of gloss over. I had this conversation with Helena the other day about how sort of focus jumped always from baby boomers straight to millennials and next generation. Gen X is going to represent about 45% of the ultra-wealthy in 15 years, almost half. You should definitely keep that in mind. The next gen, millennials and Gen Z, are also going to see exponential growth. And this growth is not just in the proportion of the population, it's also in how they spend, what they acquire, and it kind of spills over into everything wealth-wise. We made a couple of slides just focusing on the ultra-wealthy yacht owner. I think there are a few yacht owners today here. We have been able to identify some of them in our database because yachts do tend to represent a big chunk of wealth or a big chunk of value, and that's what we do. We capture those assets that are meaningful from a kind of value perspective. Some of this stuff may be surprising, some may not be surprising. I'm sure you've heard some of it, but some of these insights are around, for example, the source of wealth. Most of them are self-made. These percentages change a little bit from a region to another. I think more self-made in the US, specific to yacht owners. I think what's a little bit surprising, if you look at their distribution by gender, now, of course, we know the ultra-wealthy is more kind of male-heavy. I think the estimates is about 87% males versus 13% females. But if you look at the yacht owners in America, 96% of them are males. 91%, 95.7%. There is a proportional less interest from the female wealthy on yachts. That doesn't mean it won't change. I think that probably will change. females now, wealthy females, are making wealth in different ways. They're becoming more entrepreneurial. They are creating companies. They are becoming professional, and they are self-made too. So that mentality is going to change, and you should kind of start thinking about there is an opportunity there for sure. Down here, we just kind of listed some of the primary industries that these individuals are attached to. They still mostly come from a finance background. Again, this is the effect of financial hubs like New York, like Hong Kong and Dubai and these places. But also, new industries are jumping in, like tech, like logistics. AI is going to create a huge number of wealthy people in the next 5 to 10 years, probably bypassing the production of wealthy people by finance and traditional industries. And here, in this side of sort of the slide, oh, you can't, again, the red line is Americas, the green one is Asia, and the dark blue is EMEA. We're talking about the top interests of the wealthy yacht owners. You can see very quickly that aviation is the top interest of those who are based in America, while it's one of the lowest interest for those based in Asia Pacific. So there are some variations in what they like and what they don't like based on where they come from. There are things that they agree on. Everybody almost likes sports with slightly different variations. And philanthropy is another thing where cultural differences and regional differences come in. We have a long list of interests and passions. We've only presented the top ones. And this list can also be broken further into subcategories. So we can look at, if they're interested in sports, what kind of sports? Is it football? Is it American football? And so on. On this side of the slide, we kind of presenting where the wealthy yacht owners come from. Not where the yachts are registered or produced, but more where the owners are based, right? And the majority of them are in the United States at around 31%, 27% in the rest of the world, and then we have the top countries as Russia, UK, Switzerland, and so on. This is just a snapshot of the data that we have. We have very, very detailed profiles on these wealthy individuals. We have details on their philanthropy, what they give, how much they give, who they give for, their political affiliations in some places. We have information on their family members, on their various companies and stakes. So feel free to reach out if you have any question about the wealthy in general from a luxury perspective or any other perspective. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, we would be happy to answer.